With a sharp, resounding thunk, Jaida plunged the crystalline tip of the dream shard into the waiting port on Voyd's arm brace. The intricate mechanism hummed to life with a low thrum that vibrated through the very floor of Nock's cluttered workshop. Almost instantly, a blinding light of vibrant pink erupted from the exposed barrel of the contraption, not just shining, but blasting forth. It coalesced into a shimmering, pulsating upside-down triangle portal of the exact same pink shade, swirling like liquid starlight. A sudden, fierce breeze clawed its way through the air, whipping around everyone present. Loose tools scattered across the workspace, and the scent of ozone mingled with the dusty aroma of old circuits and discarded projects. Nock stumbled back, his eyes wide behind his spectacles. Kot instinctively threw an arm around Jamie, steadying the gust that passed them. Toonie let out a startled, "Whoa!" and shielded his eyes with both hands, his tail frame tilting against the unexpected force. Toby, however, seemed to relish in the chaos. The wind caught him full on, lifting him clean off his paws as if he were nothing more than a discarded piece of paper. He flew through the air like a stiff poster board, before landing with a soft squeak a good 10 feet away, sliding across the floor like a pool floaty. "Oh man, that is never gonna get old," Ellie declared as her, Winona, and Coco stood by the wolf. Voyd and Jaida, clad in their outfits once again, took a deliberate step back from the now fully stable portal, their faces now holding a mix of anticipation and a touch of determination.
"We now have access to the Dream Realm. We are about halfway there, my friends."
Jet's words echoed with triumph. Voyd then turned to Jaida, his gaze steady. "You ready?" he asked, his voice low and prepared for anything. Jaida met his eyes, a firm, resolute nod her only reply. Then she turned to face her friends, her gaze sweeping over them as well as Nock, Kot, and Jamie. "We'll be back," she stated, her voice carrying a firm stance. "That's a promise." She punctuated the last word with a pointed finger directed at Nock, who nodded back gravely, a silent understanding passing between them. Jamie stepped forwards, her expression soft with concern. "Be safe, loves." She bid them farewell, her voice gentle, a stark contrast to the buzzing energy of the portal behind them. "Good luck, guys. Please, be careful," Winona added, her hands clasped tightly in front of her, her worry evident. "Yeah, for real," Toonie chimed in, managing a thumbs up despite the lingering awe plastered on his face. With that, the two heroes exchanged one last glance, a silent pact sealed between them. And then, without another word, they turned in unison. They walked towards the shimmering pink gateway, their forms dissolving into the swirling light the moment they stepped through its ethereal surface. The portal pulsed once more, then began to slowly contract, the brilliant pink fading back into the mundane workshop air, leaving behind only the lingering scent of ozone and the silent, watchful eyes of everyone behind. The portal spat them out in a chaotic swirl of magenta and lavender. Leaping from the collapsing pink vortex, Voyd and Jaida hit the ground with more of a slide than a stumble, skidding down a gentle incline of impossibly soft, flowing grass. They steadied themselves upright, and the world unfolded before them. A collective, sharp intake of breath was their only response. Their eyes widened, jaws dropping as they took in the majesty surrounding them. The very air was painted in soft pastels, a fusion of ethereal pinks, deep purples, and shimmering blues that blended into one another. Glowing sapphire butterflies, their wings leaving trails of faint light, filtered through the air like living jewels. High above, dreamy clouds, heavy and golden, drifted lazily across the sky that was not really a sky at all. The trees were whimsical things, their foliage like tufts of cotton candy stirred by a breeze that smelled of lavender and warm sugar. In the distance, Magnificent, soft-edged mountains rose like slumbering titans. And then there were the structures. Colossal pillars, the size of skyscrapers, stretched upwards towards the impossible ceiling of this world. They were shaped like chess pawns, their flat tops lost in the golden clouds. Chiseled into their ancient-looking facades were enormous symbols of eyes. Some were wide open in awareness, others peacefully closed in sleep. As the duo's gaze traveled higher, the true mind-bending nature of the realm revealed itself. The sky was not an endless void, but another land formation, an inverted mirror of the ground they stood upon. It stretched on for as far as they could see, a ceiling of different mountains and forests hanging upside down above them. Amazing. Voyd finally huffed, the word a small, inadequate puff of air. I've always wanted to see this place. A delighted giggle broke the spell. Jaida was already on her feet, her initial shock melting in the pure joy as she began to chase one of the sapphire butterflies, her laughter echoing in the tranquil air.
It's so pretty.
Voyd watched her for a moment, a smile touching his own lips. He snagged the strap of his backpack, pulling it tight against his shoulder. All right, he boasted, his voice full of a renewed purpose. Next stop, the spectral realm. He started after Jaida, their forms small figures wandering into the cotton candy woods. So, same plan as before? Jaida asked, her voice bouncing off the crystalline rocks that lined a small, babbling stream. Find someone, search for clues, get a lead? She leaped onto a path of smooth, flat stones, holding her arms out wide for balance, as if walking on a tightrope. Voyd, foregoing the precarious path, simply waged his way through the cool, clean water. It tugged playfully at his boots as he reached out, his hand enveloping hers. Yep, that's the plan, the spark stated, his grip firm and steady, ensuring she didn't take an unplanned dip. Once they reached the other side, the woods opened up into a sun-dappled clearing, an expanse scattered with large, chiseled blue rocks that pulsed with a gentle inner light. Jaida, drawn by their beauty, brushed a hand along the cool surface of one of them. The touch sent a cloud of magical blue dust into the air, glittering like luminous pollen before dissolving. Wow, she breathed, a genuine smile gracing her lips. To think all this was just out of my reach back in the mortal realm. It's so crazy. Her eyes caught a flicker of movement in the distance. A herd of prancing, dreamy sheep, their faces glowing with an enticing yellow light. So, this is where all of our dreams come from? She wondered aloud.
Indeed. This is a place unbound by the laws of physics. A landscape formed by the subconscious desires of all living beings,
Jet stated. Voyd looked around, absorbing the information. Interesting, he replied, his attention then drawn downwards to a pair of tiny, dreamy gopher-looking creatures, sniffing cautiously at his shoes. He tilted his head and gave his foot a gentle wiggle, shooing them back into their own glowing burrows. That's so cool, Jaida exclaimed, her mind racing. I wonder if my dream of that hunky character I drew back in middle school will show his face around here. Can dreams actually manifest into reality here? She asked.
I believe so.
Jet's voice arose from Voyd's neck. Voyd looked back at Jaida, a brow raised in confusion. Hunky character. Jaida nodded enthusiastically, a faint blush on her cheeks. Yeah, I used to have dreams about this TV host robot called JJ Showstopper. He was one of my first OCs ever made. Voyd's expression only deepened in its puzzlement. OC? It's short for original character, she clarified. Voyd still looked blank. Alright, he muttered, turning his gaze back to the sprawling wilderness. Did you ever have any weird dreams? Jaida asked, her playful tone softening slightly. Voyd shrugged. I guess. There's this one dream I always have. He marched forwards towards the edge of the clearing, which ended in a steep incline overlooking a vast tapestry of the Dream Realm's forested lands. He sat down, legs dangling over the edge. Oh? Jaida asked, sitting beside him, the scent of lavender from the breeze mingling between them. I'm guessing it's the dream of having a normal life again, like you mentioned earlier at Sarvi's? Voyd tilted his head, his eyes fixed on the distant pastel lights. In a way, that's part of it. But there is another. His voice dropped to a quieter, more vulnerable timbre. In this dream, I see through my own eyes. I'm much older, fully grown. It's always sunny and warm. If I were to take a guess, it would always seem to be a spring afternoon. Voyd seemed lost in the image, his words slow and careful. And when I look down, there in my arms, I'm holding a baby. My baby. A soft, genuine smile formed on his lips. Jaida watched him, her own expression shifting from curiosity to a quiet, profound empathy. Sometimes it's a boy. Others, it's a girl. On some occasions, it's both, actually. Voyd exclaimed with a soft chuckle, the sound gentle. And beside me, there's a woman. She never has any details. She's always just a blurry shape. But the presence she gives, I know it's a wife. He looked down at his hands, which were now tugging at the silky grass. In this dream, I watch my child grow. I show them the world, all the realms. I raise them and see their smile. I feel their hugs. I wipe their tears. He stalled, taking a shuddering breath. I dream of having a family and being a dad. He looked up again, and the smile was gone, replaced by a deep, familiar somberness. I guess I just miss my own family, especially now knowing that I could be one of, if not the last sparks in the universe. He finally turned to Jaida, a flicker of self-consciousness in his eyes. Sorry if that got really deep. I know that wasn't an OC, but... Before he could finish, Jaida leaned over and wrapped her arms around him in a firm, sudden hug. Voyd froze for a second, surprised by the contact, before his own arms slowly came up to hug her back. Her grip was tight, warm, her hair a soft current against his cheek. Don't apologize for that, she said, her voice soft against his shoulder. I can only imagine what that must feel like. She gently pulled back, though their arms remained interlocked. Can I let you in on a little something? Voyd tilted his head, his gaze searching hers. I've always thought about being a mom one day, she revealed, her eyes turning towards the breathtaking view. I can't say I've had dreams, maybe once or twice, but I've always wanted to have my own mini-me, I guess. A small giggle escaped her. I don't know, I think it'd be fun one day to have my own little clone to raise. Maybe a big, strong, handsome husband or wife would be cool too. And yes, I just called a wife handsome. She looked at him again, and he looked back. In the quiet space between them, a silent understanding passed. A faint, matching blush crept onto their cheeks, warm in the golden light. You know, Voyd began, his voice barely above a whisper, his gaze locked on hers. It feels like the more we get to know one another, the more I begin to realize just how similar we are. We're just two idiots who were dealt a bad hand at life, pushed on to do things to try and make up for it. His eyes, so soft and guarded, were wide open. Out of every world I could have possibly ended up in, I'm happy to have landed in yours. Jaida's breath hitched. She looked away for a second, gathering a courage she didn't know she possessed, then met his eyes again. Voyd, I have something I need to tell you, she said, the words a frantic pressure in her throat. What is it? He asked, his expression open and waiting. Gently, hesitantly, Jaida reached out. Her hand came to rest on the side of his cheek, her thumb stroking softly. The touch was electric, sending a jolt through him that made his own blush deepen. She stalled, her heart hammering against her ribs, confusing him with her hesitation. Her eyes darted from his, and then to his lips and back again. Voyd, I think I... Voyd and Jaida jolted upright, the fragile piece of the moment shattering like glass under the weight of an unexpected sound. They both scrambled to their feet, whirling around, their senses on high alert. Voyd's Nova Blade shimmered into existence, its ethereal blue light casting long, dancing shadows. Beside him, Jaida summoned a hammer, its cosmic sheen reflecting the sparse light. Their hearts hammered in their chests, a frantic drumbeat mirroring the rhythmic sets of booms that now thundered from afar. What the hell? Voyd murmured, his voice barely a whisper against the growing cacophony. The tree line, moments ago a comforting wall of pink, began to shimmer, a distortion in the air, announcing an impossible presence. That sound emanated again, closer now. Thud, 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 came heavy, deliberate footfalls, each one sending a tremor through the ground. Then, at long last, it emerged. The towering figure stepped free from the shifting foliage, and Voyd felt a cold wave of bewilderment wash over him, silencing the question on his lips. Beside him, Jaida gasped, a sharp choke sound, clutching her hand to her throat as if to catch her breath, or perhaps a stifled scream. There, bathed in the dream realm's light, stood an entity that defied comprehension. It was a photorealistic dolphin, hyper-detailed and impossibly rendered, yet horrifyingly contorted. Attached to its sleek, wet-looking body were what appeared to be realistic, grotesquely muscular human arms and legs, poorly photoshopped onto its form. The edges of the limbs were jagged, pixels visible where they met the dolphin's skin, a clear sign of its unnatural genesis. Its beak-like mouth then opened, moving at what seemed to be multiple frames per second.
What up, bros? It is I, the one, the only, Fit Fins.
The strange being bellowed, its voice a booming, manufactured sound effect. It then launched into a series of exaggerated flexing poses, its disproportionate limbs bulging with impossible musculature. With a final flourish, it opened its mouth again, pressing one of its unnaturally white teeth, and the very thrum that had broken their tranquility emerged not from its throat, but from its blowhole. What in Natira's name is that? Voyd stammered, his mental defenses struggling to categorize the abomination before him. His question was then punctuated by a yelp from Jaida, who instinctively shrank behind Voyd, her slim frame trembling. What is it? He repeated, glancing over his shoulder at the girl. The large, photoshopped abomination took another ponderous step forwards, its movements jarring and unnatural, like a series of still images rapidly stitched together. Each step was less a fluid motion and more a sudden shift in its digital form. No, that's Fitfin's! Jaida babbled, her voice high and tight with remembered terror. He was the stupid Photoshop Ellie used to scare me with. She would always torment me with him. Voyd shook his head, trying to process the absurdity. What? He asked, not quite believing what he was hearing. As he spoke, the grotesque fish began to contort its body again, performing a bizarre, jerky dance akin to the popular emotes from an online shooter game, its pixels shimmering with each awkward digital shift. I've had nightmares about him, Voyd. Real ones. I know it's stupid, but it's the truth. Why is he here? Why is he real? Jaida wailed, clutching her hammer so tightly her knuckles whitened.
Dream realm logic.
Jet's voice erupted. You're seriously scared of this thing? Jaida, it's flat. It's dancing. It's... Voyd trailed off, gesturing with his Nova Blade at the entity, which seemed stuck in a few frames per second of its loop. Its strange dancing loop. I mean, at least it ain't a shark, Voyd said, before being cut off.
Actually, bro, you're wrong.
Fitfins boomed, abruptly halting his dance and snapping back into his idle stance, a strange flexing pose that made Jaida quiver harder.
Dolphins, in fact, are actually much more dangerous than sharks. Therefore, I now must beat you to death, rip you open, and proceed to suck out your nerve endings like spaghetti.
The creature punctuated its final horrifying declaration by pressing its tooth in once more, the sound emanating from its blowhole. Voyd stared, a cold, hard knot forming in his stomach. What? He asked, the absurdity warring within the sudden primal fear that surged through him. Without warning, Fitfins reared one of its colossal Photoshop fists back. As it did, the limb began to warp, its form blurring into a dark, wavy outline filled with dozens of small, unblinking eye shapes that blinked in disconcerting unison. Then, with a speed that belittled its size, it swung down, clashing its monstrous fist into the soil directly before the duo. The impact was not just physical, it was existential. A concussive blast erupted, tearing at the very fabric of the dream world, and changed everything. They both flew through the air, caught in a weird, nauseating in-between of gravity and weightlessness. The lush forest that had surrounded them a moment ago dissolved, spinning into a vortex of color and form. Like a swirl of batter in a cosmic mixing bowl, the world fractured, then began to morph and reform with terrifying speed. Voyd and Jaida stared in utter disbelief, their bodies accelerating, hurtling through the air as if flung by an unseen hand. The familiar pastels of the dream realm gave way to something far more chaotic. Fragments of what looked like the burning cityscape of Aurora emerged, alongside elements of Salvaheim, its intricate mechanical structures now twisted and broken. Both environments, once distinct and personal, were now spiraling around them in a terrifying hybrid fusion. Whoa! Jaida cried, her voice a desperate squeak as she fought to maintain some semblance of balance in the disorienting fall. Parts of Aurora appeared to be actively on fire, while Salvaheim's mechanical components looked melted and twisted, a tragic mix of both fond and disastrous memories. Jet! What the heck is happening? Voyd shouted over the wind rushing past his face. Just as he spoke, both he and Jaida landed hard with a jarring thump on a Salvaheim bus, its metallic shell groaning under their sudden weight. It was moving along an ever-expanding monorail, its tracks snaking through the impossible landscape. They both stood, stunned into awe at the dizzying, fast, ever-changing hybrid of a world around them.
If my data banks serve me right, the Dream Realm's environment can sometimes change based on certain events.
Jet stated, his voice remarkably calm despite the chaos.
Mood swings, deliberate choices, and I believe by the native beings of this world. Primarily.
As Jet finished, Fitfin suddenly landed on the back of the bus with another earth-shattering thud. Its eyes now glowing with a malevolent intent as it glared at the duo.
Nightmares.
Jet finished, the single word hanging in the air. Voyd and Jaida, without a moment's hesitation, readied their weapons once more. Fitfin's body began to wobble and ripple, like water disturbed by an unseen force. Its photorealistic facade dissolved, its form changing slightly, like a chameleon morphing its colors, but with a horrifying shift. It went from the absurd Fitfins into something far more sinister, a creature of pure, undulating darkness, its slick surface covered in countless unblinking eyes that swiveled independently. It oozed forwards, a truly grotesque and fear-inducing manifestation that made both Voyd and Jaida feel a deep chill creep down their spines.
Fist of Destruction!
The nightmare being boasted as it morphed back into Fitfins. It smashed down its fist, and Voyd and Jaida dodged, leaping in opposite directions, the roof of the subway bus groaning and denting under its immense impact. "Leave us alone!" Jaida screamed, fueled by a surge of desperate bravery. She swung her hammer in a powerful arc, clocking Fitfin squarely on the side of its monstrous, rippling head. Its body wriggled and morphed again, recoiling from the blow, before it spun, manifesting a sharp, whip-like tail that lunged at her. Jaida warped, dissolving into a shimmer of light to avoid the strike. Voyd, seizing the opening, leapt up, his Nova Blade slashing down, cutting deep into the creature's dark, vicious flesh. But to their horror, the wound healed over instantly, the darkness reknitting itself as if no blade had touched it. Fitfins continued to shift between both forms, and whirled around, its many eyes fixing on Voyd. Its beak-like mouth opened, stretching into an unnatural, cavernous maw, hinged in a way no natural creature could achieve. From out of its depths, a large, black-as-night hand with long, wickedly sharp fingers reached out, acting like some kind of elongated, shadowy tongue. Voyd gasped in horror, flipping away from the snagging hand as it tried to seize him, its fingers wriggling, clearly intent on pulling him into the monstrous gullet. "Leave him alone!" Jaida's voice rang out again. She wore back in, her hammer transforming into a sword. With a sickening crunch, she sliced at the grasping limb, cutting it clean off. Fitfins howled, a distorted shriek of pain. Using its normal hands, it snagged Jaida by the head, and then with an equally swift motion, seized Voyd by the head as well. The nightmare entity, with its two captives, then leapt off the train, descending all the way down through the chaotic, swirling landscape, before slamming the two kids near the very edge of a precarious cliff. They both rolled and stumbled, shaking their heads to clear the impact, before struggling back to their feet, glaring the being down as it too rose, punching a massive dark fist into the open palm of its human-like hand. "You okay?" Voyd asked, shaking his head to clear the ringing in his ears. Jaida nodded, rubbing her temple. "Felt worse," she admitted, adrenaline coursing through her veins.
"Now I squish your heads till your eyes pop out!"
Fitfins exclaimed, its voice a gravelly roar as it took another deliberate step closer and closer. The duo, battered but defiant, prepared for anything, ready to spar once again. However, before they could even move, something entirely new came to their rescue. Blasting out of the weird, impossibly mixed city below, a searing blast of vibrant green energy erupted. It struck Fitfins in the back with such immense force that the beast was launched into the air, soaring up and over the bewildered kids, and then plummeting all the way down into the swirling, abyssal depths below. Voyd and Jaida whirled their heads around, watching in stunned silence as the monster plummeted to its supposed demise.
"No! Oh God! I'm falling! Oh, I'm falling! Oh God! Oh man! Why is this fall so long? Oh, that's not fair! Stupid third party, bro! Oh, why is it so long? Oh, that's totally not radical!"
The indignant, terrified screams of Fitfins echoed up from the chasm, growing fainter and fainter until they were swallowed by the echoing abyss. The two looked down into the seemingly endless void, starstruck by the rapid-fire barrage of events that had just occurred. Huh, Voyd managed, when a new voice, surprisingly gentle, called from behind them.
Hey, you little ones okay?
Turning around, they watched as the world around them shimmered, the chaotic hybrid landscape slowly dissolving and reforming, somehow returning back to its normal, serene dreamscape appearance. There, emerging from the tree line, as if he had seemingly stepped out from a stroll, stood a short and stocky old man. He was hunched, his back slightly bowed, and wore a bright, almost luminous pink tunic piece that seemed stitched from pure light. His pants were a vibrant green, complementing his even greener, bulbous shoes. His entire head, diamond-shaped and covered in wrinkles, was also green, a stark contrast to his enormous, fluffy pink beard and mustache that framed his thin-lined, kindly eyes. Atop his head, he sported a long strand of hair, perhaps an antenna, that curled gracefully to end in a small, glowing red ball. On his back, he carried a large, overflowing bag of what appeared to be apples. And in his hand was a magical staff that he then returned to the ground to act as a cane. Yeah? Thank you? Jaida called to the old man, who nodded, his pink beard bobbing.
Come, it's getting late,
the old man said, his voice a soft, reedy sound, yet full of warmth.
Come, the nightmares fully manifest when the moon is high. I shall take you back to my shop. There you will be safe, yes.
He turned without further explanation, shuffling off into the tree line, his green and pink form a strange beacon in the fading light. He beckoned them to follow. Voyd and Jaida exchanged a long, bewildered look, then shrugged, the unspoken question of, what else could we do, hanging between them. With a shared sigh, they followed suit, stepping away from the cliff and deeper into the bewildering heart of the dream realm.